Ryan Reynolds here for, I guess, my 100th Mint commercial. No, don't. I mean, honestly, when I started this, I thought I only have to do like 4 of these. I mean, it's unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. How are there still people paying 2 or 3 times that much? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be victim blaming here. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/save. Whenever you're ready.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger for thousands of appetizing ingredients that inspire countless mouthwatering meals. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices. Plus, extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with points. So you can get big flavors and big savings. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
George Clooney and Brad Pitt's new movie, Wolves, is on Apple TV Plus September 27th.
That's where I want you to be now.
So if you want to see George Clooney and Brad Pitt, go to Apple TV Plus.
You got to start the story there.
Or if you want to see Brad Pitt and George Clooney, go to Apple TV Plus.
I am enjoying the show.
And if you want to see their new movie, Wolves,
You can't do it, I'm going to help you out. I can do it, so do it.
definitely go to Apple TV Plus.
Admit it, it's cool. Okay, fine, it was very cool.
Wolves, streaming September 27th on Apple TV Plus. Rated R.
Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our Quick Publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hey guys, welcome back. The Reds are back where they belong, in the top echelons of the European competition. It's a new format, it's a new setup, it's a new vibe. But it's the same old duo on this podcast on the Euro Incision. It's myself and Guy Drinkel. Welcome back, Guy.
Isn't it great to not be doing Europa League stuff?
Well, we refuse to do it, right? Because we're not arrogant. It just really, really conflicted with our schedules with regards to 1 year. I just want to put that out there. But yeah, I am so glad. But talking of Thursday football, this new format, Guy, we have Champions League football tonight. I mean, I can't deal with football on a Thursday. Give me your thoughts about how you feel about the new format. Do you think it was time for a change? Change is good sometimes, most times.
I'm interested to see how it plays out because I think some of it's good and some of it's really stupid. Like, in terms of the stupid stuff, I mean, there's no point of having the pots anymore because if you look at our running compared to, say, Aston Villa have got a much easier run and they were pot 4. So I think there's some stuff to work out in terms of rewarding the teams who did well the season before. But I do think it'll make it more interesting because how many times did we watch the Champions League and the first 3 games were kind of exciting because you had those mix of big teams playing each other trying to get the 3 points. And then the last 3 games, it's like, all right, Liverpool, 9 out of 9 points. Real Madrid, 9 out of 9 points. Bayern Munich, 9 out of 9 points. I think it'll fix that a bit, but at the same time, I don't think we need more games of, say, I don't know, Real Madrid against Bratislava or whatever, which we're probably going to get. I'm sure it's good for those teams that don't get to play in the Champions League every time, but there's going to be more good games, but at the same time, there's going to be more bad games. And unless you've got, like, Man United losing to, like, Copenhagen or something like a couple of years ago, it's not going to be overly interesting, I think.
Yeah, speaking of the bad stuff, I think the thing that kind of gets me is the fact that it's been dragged on for 3 nights. So it's, Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday. We're not going to cover those games, obviously, because they've not been played. That bothers me. Luckily, Liverpool do not have to play on Thursday. I'm glad they skipped Europa football to not play on a Thursday night from this kind of mini league situation. Another thing as well, one thing I did like about the old setup, I mean, it gives it a new freshness. You're right, there's going to be a lot of good games, bad games. I think for me, the thing that I've got that's kind of taken things out is that every game is kind of important from a Liverpool perspective. It's almost like the Premier League. You just want every team to draw, and a big eye on goal difference as well.
Yeah, that's the thing. When you've got to get, well, you've not got to get the top 8, but when there's so many teams fighting for the top 8 rather than just a top 4 or a top 1, it makes it much more interesting because, well, the conversation in football is all about players going on strike and stuff at the minute, isn't it?
Yeah.
And avoiding 2 extra games it seems like a big deal at the minute, and I feel like that'd be very useful if we skip the playoff round.
Well, currently, as things stand, let's just run by the top 8. So Bayern Munich are on top, then Celtic, Aston Villa, Dortmund in 4th, Sparta Prague at 5, Liverpool in 6th, Juventus at 7th, and Real Madrid at 8th. I mean, that's quite an exciting little setup. It'll change, obviously, with the games tonight. But anyway, enough about that. We spoke about it. We've done it. Let's talk about Liverpool being back in Europe. A trip to San Siro. Liverpool win 3-1. Guy, talk to me about this one, because I went to this game a little bit anxious with what I saw over the weekend.
Yeah, the Forest game didn't help, did it?
Yeah.
I thought we'd win. It didn't help when we conceded in 2 minutes. I think we're just different in Europe, aren't we? I think the issue with Forest was they sat back and we just couldn't break them down. I don't think Milan would do that in the San Siro, especially when their new manager's kind of under pressure already, isn't he? Mm-hmm. So I thought they'd come and attack, which they did in the first few minutes, but then I think ultimately we just outclassed them, which I kind of expected, because even was it the back of their title-winning season, we went there with Nat Phillips in centre-back and took the mick out of them. So considering, I think they finished 3rd last season, if I remember correctly, I just always felt, not confident, but I felt like if we're not awful again, I feel like we'd win comfortably, and we did.
Yeah, it was just I thought Liverpool started off really well, and I think that was the key thing, wasn't it, that we're waiting on how well Liverpool going to start, because I think we can all agree they were very, very slow and turgid against, Nottingham Forest, and, it continued, and it was like a low-block team. But even after conceding, I just felt like it was a little bit of a brain fart moment where, there was a lot of space and they kind of penetrated it, and Pulisic just, basically exploited it, and that was their only real, I'd say, meaningful chance about the whole game. I mean, they had a few skirmishes in injury time, but I really like Liverpool's response. They didn't look like they'd been stressed out, and they kind of grew into the game. And, your players that you kind of look to, like the likes of Salah and Gakpo, were really up for it and on it. And, for me, Guy, after we went a goal down, I love the fact that we were patient. We didn't look stressed out. We weren't, trying to rush things. And it took 20 minutes to get a goal, and it was great to see Konate, continuing his form in the Champions League with getting Champions League goals. What a header!
Oh, it's great. Yeah, absolutely. It feels like, considering the size of our centre backs, even like with Matip being there last season, and Kwanzaa's a bit of a bit. Well, Kwanzaa scored a few last season, didn't he? As well, to be fair to him. It feels like we just never score with our centre back. I think that was Konate's first goal in 2 years or something. Now, he's been injured a little bit in that time, but there was a time in 2022 when we were obviously in all the competitions. He felt like he was scoring, especially in the Champions League, every other bloody game. So it's good to see. I mean, I'd take another 2022 season. Hopefully the ending would be a bit different. But yeah, it's a really good thing to have, because it feels like the sheer size of our lads at the centre-back, they do need to be scoring more goals, because Van Dijk and Konate never lose duels defensively, but they just never bloody score. But yeah, if Trent's delivering crosses, little set pieces like that, and Tsimikas has good delivery as well, as we see with the later one, it should be a weapon. It needs to be a weapon.
It absolutely does, and I'm glad you kind of highlighted the fact that, you know, the height and stature of our centre-backs. But it was great to see all the back four get a goal or an assist. You know, we'll take that all day, every day. And Captain Virgil van Dijk was not to be outdone by his little French buddy there. And again, strong and dominating the air. I want to see more of that. I want to see us more threatening on set pieces.
Yeah, because when we were challenging for the title in the Premier League, it always felt like we were dangerous from set pieces.
Yeah.
Like, we'd hit the first man on like 4 of our corners, but the 5th one would go in. It always felt like that. And I don't know if it's because Tsimikas has always been our best corner taker, I feel like. The rest of the play we'll probably discuss, especially when we talk about Milan's goal, which won't help. But what Trent delivers in open play, his corners are very mixed. So I've always wondered if, like, maybe more so when Klopp was here, if Szoboszlai would get a run on corners or something like that. But if we are going to mix up the set pieces and corners and stuff, and we'll have new set piece coaches, and obviously Arne Slot will have his own influences and stuff, if that becomes a weapon again, I feel like just look at Arsenal last year. How many, let's be honest, crap goals did they score from set pieces? We need that in our Arsenal. We just kind of haven't had that for like a year or so now.
Well, that's exactly how they beat Spurs. They park the bus and, you know, deliver a corner.
Absolutely. We needed that against Forest.
Yeah, we did. We absolutely did. And yeah, there were some glorious chances. And speaking of Trent, I think he did have a corner against Forest where he almost tried scoring.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it needs to improve. Speaking of Liverpool, so there were a lot of players that really, really impressed, and there was a lot of, I must say, online hype about certain players as well. For me, it was just enough. I was satisfied with everybody as a whole. I know there's a few that let us down a little, but luckily we can look past them. But I want your opinion on this. There's been a lot of talk about Gravenberch as a 6. And he did really well against AC Milan. You know, stark contrast to what happened against Forest, but the whole team was collectively bad, so we don't kind of highlight anything there. What did you like and what did you make about Gravenberch in this game? I feel like McAllister looked a lot sharper as well. Maybe against Forest, it was everyone coming back from international duty, and obviously the South American lads had more air mileage to cover and stuff. Fatigue, jet lag, all those things considered. But I feel like that balance has to be perfect. I think McAllister brings the best out of Gravenberch. That's personally my opinion.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think if people watch we were talking about how we were watching the highlights beforehand and the disrespect of TNT.
Oh, gosh.
So replacing the James Richardson and the lads with Joe Cole. Good Lord. So I was watching the BBC ones and they highlighted it quite well. How the first goal, it was obviously very early, so maybe we were just kind of settling into the game. But McAllister was kind of well ahead of where Gravenberch was. And then after the goal, they played, not holding each other's hands, but they played as certainly a much more defined 2. And I think if we're going to keep that throughout the season, it's going to be really interesting, because I think Gravenberch's still learning that position. I know he played a little bit of it at Ajax, but you watch him still in this. There's some stuff where you're watching like that's an 8 playing as a 6, but sometimes you're like the way he takes the ball off the centre backs and progresses play when he's on it. It's something very unique that we obviously wanted in Zubimendi, but he wanted to go up mountains and stuff, rather than be in the relegation spot of La Liga. What a faith. But no, it's really exciting. I think if he keeps developing defensively, because we know he's really good and really talented on the ball and the work ethic, if I can work, effort. Let's go with an easy word. Jesus. I don't do as many podcasts anymore, Nina. I can't speak anymore.
It's fine. You know what? Don't be mad, because you actually stood up next to somebody who's significantly worse than you. So, I mean,
oh, dear. Look at us old part-timers now. But if his work effort keeps growing, which I think you're seeing every week, And that was an issue last year where he just, as soon as someone got past him, he kind of stopped at times, whereas now you see him chasing. There was that block on, was it Liao? Towards the end, I think it was. It might not have been Liao, but it was quite towards the end, and you're like, he wasn't doing that last year. And Klopp, now with Arne Slot, has kind of transformed because he had that tag from his Bayern days of just kind of being almost like already filled potential. And to see it, it's great. Like, I think everyone was concerned when we didn't get a 6. But if we are to try and mould him into a 6, like, he's 6'3", 6'4", massive, fast, excellent on the ball. If he can develop in the defensive side, I mean, he may end up being the perfect player. But as you mentioned, McAllister, he has more experience playing the 6 for us because he did a lot of it last year. He's a really intelligent footballer. He's played about 15 positions at a time in Brighton. He's probably played like 1 or 2, maybe even 3 for us already. He's played a couple for Argentina. He just looks like the ultimate versatile midfielder, plug and play anywhere. If them two can stay fit, and if Arne Slot learns what rotation is in midfield, it is exciting. It is bloody exciting. And just to add Szoboszlai in there, the engine on that lad, it's phenomenal.
It is phenomenal. And, you know, you speak about McAllister there. It's almost like we've got a James Milner replacement. I just, before anyone jumps down right through. Gakpo had a really good game. You spoke about Gravenberch there, but, you know, Gakpo got the assist for Szoboszlai in the second half. But again, Gravenberch was pretty crucial in that as well, in the build-up to it. But what did you make of Gakpo? Because I felt like his sub against Forest was a bit moot and it was unimpactful, to put it nicely.
Certainly was. But I think he kind of came on and was consumed by the rest of the team.
Yes, probably. Yeah. Energy vampires.
Yeah, absolutely. Whereas this one, he obviously starts in his favoured position, which it must only be probably a bit more than a handful of times, but he was never really a left winger under Klopp, was he? He just looks so much better there. He just does. But at the same time, I'm sat there like, I kind of want him to start as the number 9 at the weekend because Jota's not playing well and Darwin's not really had an impact off the bench. So it's kind of a weird conundrum with Gakpo, but he was bloody excellent in this game. And
I don't need a VPN. I've got nothing to hide. This is what I used to tell myself before I hooked up with LibertyShield.com. Not only is my home internet now fully encrypted, but I can now access all the websites I want, whenever I want, and do so from absolutely anywhere. As a Liverpool fan, I love to know I can now watch every match, regardless of whether it's on UK TV or not. My Liberty Shield VPN makes sure nothing is blocked and guarantees me super fast streaming speed throughout that match. You can get connected right now with their software package, which includes a 48-hour no-obligation free trial and instant access to their apps for Apple, Android, Fire TV, PC, Mac and Android TV. Or go a step further like I have and get one of their pre-configured VPN routers. These small but powerful devices allow you to easily connect every device in your home to VPN, making it the perfect solution for smart TVs, Mac boxes and games consoles. Visit LibertyShield.com today and use coupon code AIVPN25 to get 25% off at checkout.
It's almost a shame that, well, that's the wrong word. It's almost a shame for him that Diaz has started the season so well as a left winger, because I think after his performance in the Euros, I think a lot of people were coming in like, well, Diaz has kind of been wanting to leave, so maybe we just give Gakpo a run there. Obviously, Diaz stays, and he's been excellent to the start of the season. It's a good conundrum to have for us, because we have a lot of games, and we have 2 really good players to play there. Chiesa can play that side as well. It's a healthy position. Maybe none of them are as good as peak Mane, but to have 3 players who can play, probably 4 if you count Jota playing there as well, it's a really good problem to have. But Gakpo, it'll be interesting to see if he can take that excellent form into another position like the number 9, because if Jota's not going to step up and Darwin Núñez isn't going to make an impact, he could make that position his own. but that's probably the best I've seen Gakpo play in a Liverpool shirt in a long while, to be fair.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger for thousands of appetizing ingredients that inspire countless mouth-watering meals. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices. Plus, extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with points. So you can get big flavors and big savings. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
This episode is brought to you by Honda. When you test drive the all-new Prologue EV, there's a lot that can impress you about it. There's the class-leading passenger space, the clean, thoughtful design, and the intuitive technology. But out of everything, what you'll really love most is that it's a Honda. Visit honda.com/EV to see offers.
This episode is brought to you by Microsoft Azure. Turn your ideas into reality with an Azure free account. Get everything you need to develop apps across cloud and hybrid environments, scale workloads, create cloud-connected mobile experiences, and so much more. Discover what you can create with popular services free for 12 months. Learn more at azure.com. That's AZURE.com. And sign up for a free account to start building in the cloud today.
Yeah, I'd agree with you on that one, absolutely. And yeah, I think you're right. There are a lot of games and the competition is healthy. And we saw Chiesa kind of making his debut there as well. I think for me as well, Mo Salah, I know he didn't score, but he looked so much better, so much more lively. You know, again, I think I saw Twitter tweets about him having a competition of outdoing Nunez by hitting the woodwork. He was so unlucky.
Oh, no. I know. If it was Premier League, I'd be fuming because he's in my FPLs.
Of course. There's always a hidden agenda as well as the voting. Well, I mean, Gary have said something there earlier on as we were speaking about Liverpool, and you said you expected Liverpool to win. And yeah, you get that and you understand that with the players that we have. They've got really good players as well, by the way. You know, they just obviously didn't pose much of a threat. I thought after that game, because I think I've said it, they fizzled into nothing. And then in the injury time, when we made some subs, and I think we were probably physically and mentally just kind of a little bit tight. Luckily, they didn't score. But for me, I'm going to kind of focus on maybe on a slot perspective. That is a huge win for him because, like, he's to manage Feyenoord and he's just beaten AC Milan at San Siro. Like, that's going to do big things for his confidence as well. In Europe as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think if you obviously love Serie A, I know you and Dave used to speak about it back a few years ago on AI. AC Milan, other than like Ajax, probably is like the biggest Dutch club just because of the history of players that were in their peak period. So if you're Arne Slot, or I know Van Dijk's played there numerous times in his Liverpool career, but like we mentioned Gravenberch, the Arne Slot, Gravenberch going to the San Siro, and brushing aside might be a bit too far, but let's say brushing aside AC Milan like that, it must mean something to Dutch players because, I mean, Rijkaard, so many players there synonymous with that club and that league. Like, when Dutch football was at its best, Serie A was at its best, and AC Milan were at its best. It must be special for Arne Slot. And as you mentioned, obviously, he had European success at Feyenoord. I think, did he get to 2 finals or get to 1 final at the very least? So he's obviously had that moment, but the San Siro, I mean, in terms of bucket list, I know it's a shame it's going, and I think it's getting torn down, isn't it, in the next couple of years? It's almost bucket list stuff, but to go there in the first couple of months of your job and win there, it must be special.
Yeah, it absolutely must be. And I feel like that needed highlighting because I think people might have forgotten that, or that might have been overlooked, because obviously before, like, he was linked to the Liverpool job, I'm going to be the first to admit I didn't know an awful lot about him. Didn't even really know who he was. But to be honest with you, you know, let's just be real. And maybe he's Liverpool manager doing well, had a bit of a disappointing result and performance over the weekend, and comes back on his birthday, his born day, and, you know, wins at the San Siro. Lovely stuff. Any takeaways, my final thoughts on the Liverpool game before we move on somewhere else?
it's just good to see we can bounce back after a disappointment. I'm just going to blame the international break, as you kind of alluded to. Like, McAllister got booted up and down the pitch by Ryan Yates, which, coming off an injury for Argentina, then getting made to play in a big physical game, wasn't great. And yeah, it was just, I'm just going to blame the international break. It's just a shame there's another one in like 4 weeks or whatever it is. But yeah, hopefully that's it, and we can go back to just what we were doing, just controlling games, cut out the stupid thing we did where we let Pulisic scores, but he is contractually obligated to have his one good game of the season against Liverpool, as we know from his Chelsea times. Mm-hmm. But yeah, a really confidence-boosting performance as well as a result.
Indeed. Right, we're going to move on to another Premier League side. Aston Villa 3-0 away to Young Boys. I mean, this is a pretty impressive result for Aston Villa, let's be honest. They are playing Young Boys, who are, I must say, fairly established or know a little thing about the Champions League. Villa brand new into it, but they were just so commanding from the get-go. Had a couple of goals ruled off as well. You know, they played so well. I think they are going to be very, very confident.
Oh God, yeah. It's probably almost the perfect game. If it was at Villa Park, it'd probably help a little bit more. But to go there, I think Young Boys had a little spell at the start of the game where they were competitive. But to go there, and I think they actually put the ball in the net 5 times.
Yes.
And to look kind of comfortable. They didn't seem to rotate loads, which might be a bit of an issue considering what happened to them last year, and that was the Europa Conference League. It's just the perfect start for them, and if your first game after so many, decades away from the Champions League, it is Young Boys, who I'm pretty sure Dave said on another podcast are currently bottom of the Swiss League.
Oh wow, did not.
Yeah. I think they've started the season awfully. So it basically was the perfect game for them to start. And yeah, I mean, especially that was at the second goal where the centre-back just passes it to the keeper who wipes out Watkins, if I remember correctly. Couldn't go better. And a good start for Villa. And they'll I think they've got like Bayern Munich and stuff to come. So they'll have bigger, better, more fun occasions. But 3 points in this league system for Villa, it's a perfect start to at least get in the playoff spots for them.
Indeed. And up next for them is a home game against Bayern Munich, which shall be pretty epic for them. Right, well, let's move on to Man City into then the replay final at Istanbul, but the one that we all forget. What did you make of this one? It finished 0-0. I think people were really lamenting Man City and, them not scoring and them not dominating, but they did dominate possession. But I think you have to give a lot of credit to Inter here.
I thought Inter were phenomenal. I really thought they were phenomenal. Like, even in some of the players, like, I think we all know the big hitters, like Bastoni, Barella, Callahan, I can't say his name, the free kick, lad, the Turkish
the Turkish delight on the free kicks. Yeah,
but like the goal there, there's no Lautaro Martinez. Bisek is a centre-back I am not familiar with, like, at all. And he goes there and looks phenomenal in the right side of the back three. I'm not sure if he's a usual starter. I know they've got, like, Pavard on the bench, but he's a completely new name to me. The left-back I'm not overly familiar with. But to go to Man City without your best player and set up, let's say, your best striker rather than best player, because Barella and Bastoni are phenomenal. It was just... It was almost perfect. I think it kind of got a bit loose towards the end where Gundogan probably should have scored. That diving header was probably the biggest chance. Mm-hmm. But, like, Haaland, have you ever seen him? Probably have seen him. That's that many quiet games, but they limited him so well. Savinho didn't do anything. Grealish didn't do anything. Yeah, and let's be honest, if Darmian didn't try the most stupid back heel and just had a shot.
That moment, my word.
Yeah. Like, if he scores or even just shoots, that is almost like, as Liverpool fans, let's say, it's almost the perfect Rafa Benitez-esque away performance in Europe. Like, it was near perfection. And obviously, as I mentioned, you're a fan of Serie A. Inter must be the big white hope of getting a Champions League back to Italy. Obviously got to the final a couple of years ago, but they seem like the one and only that can actually do it, because Milan didn't look anywhere close to us. Juve's obviously gone over a big rejuvenation with Motta there. Do you think Inter are an actual player in the Champions League?
It's really hard. The thing is, I'm going to be honest with you. I feel like you can't, and it's disgusting, that you can't really look past Real Madrid. I think they've got a good chance. I want to see, like how they kind of progress. Who have they got next, actually? That's a really good one. They have... Oh, yeah, it's a home game against Red Star Belgrade. I think realistically they probably do have the best shot. They have got the best players, and it's Hakan Çalhanoğlu. We got there in the end. That's how you pronounce his name. Yeah, they've got...
Hakan it is.
Yeah, and I also thought as well that Marcus Thuram had a really good chance in the first half.
Yes. Yeah, he put it wide, didn't he?
He did put it wide. And, I find it very, very fascinating as well that Jan Sommer, who was brought in to replace Onana, has, done really well for them as well. I think realistically they do have the best chance. It's too early to say. But I do like Simone Inzaghi.
Yeah, going back to Arne Slot, when he was linked, it was like, I don't, mainly because of all the United players who went there and been awful, but Eredivisie displays like a big red flag. And I was like, why aren't we going for someone like Simone Inzaghi? He's obviously he did really well at Lazio. I think he won them a cup or two. Goes to Inter Milan on the back of Conte winning their first league in years and just carries on. I don't think they won the league the first year, if I remember correctly, but nobody's done back-to-back Serie A's since Juve, I don't think. And they look favourites to do it this year again. So it's weird he's not really been linked, but I suppose there's not many bigger jobs than Inter. And if Inter are the one Serie A side who have kind of got not like a normal situation, because their ownership situations are very dodgy, isn't it? But they've got a settled squad. They've added to it with a couple smart free signings. They just seem settled in the team, but obviously the behind the stuff's a bit of a mess. Well, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. Maybe not as a Pep replacement, but say Arteta got poached by a Spanish giant or something like that, it wouldn't surprise me if he's in the running for a big Premier League job. But yeah, Simone Inzaghi's probably not underrated because he's done an excellent job, but I think he's probably the next manager who will burst onto the international scene at some point.
I'm also quite impressed with the fact that they brought in Mehdi Taremi as well. I remember you and I see you Incision, and we used to buzz off him at Porto.
Yeah, it's every year. Why aren't United just signing him? Like, United needed a number 9 for about 5 years after Zlatan broke. And they're just like, there's a big lad from Porto who scores all the time, and he won't stop the progression of these young lads you want to buy. And he just rocks up at Inter.
Yeah.
And it just looks like a really smart buy, and you can rotate him, Thuram and Martinez, and they've probably got other options there as well. It's they're just clever, limited resources, but they're just really clever. And this, like Barella and Bastoni, like we were talking about, hinting at Tsimikas was a bit dodgy for Milan's goal, and just sat there like, can we have Bastoni, please? there was like indicator links towards the end of the window to Bastoni. I was like, yeah, I'd like a bit of that. I'd like a bit of that, please.
We certainly do need a left back kind of a replacement. I think everyone's been screaming for that. Yeah, I love the fact that there's more praise than bashing of Man City for that Inter game. So I'm happy with that. Well, let's move on to Celtic now. Normally they get it so rough in the Champions League. 5-1 against Slavan Bratislava.
Yeah, let's go with that.
They look really good. You know, they look very comfortable. The home crowd, up for it, 3 points, looked in control, pressed really well, looked like they were in a good shape. They'll probably have a lot of confidence from that, although their next trip is away to Dortmund, which would be completely different in my opinion. But I'm more than anything, I'm just made up for Celtic in that one.
Hey guys, it's Eddie Gibbs from Anfield Index here. I hope you're enjoying this podcast, and I'm sorry to call time on the show before it ends. In the current climate, it's tougher than ever before to offer podcasts for free. At Anfield Index, we produce over 75 free shows every month, which I'm confident is unparalleled in the LFC sphere. Whilst we'd love to offer everything for free, the production costs now make this impossible. That said, we don't want to follow the model of other channels and lock all of our content behind a paywall. So what we've decided to do is to continue offering every show for free, but cut that offering to 30 minutes on our longer shows. So to get all of our shows in full and enjoy the best of everything we have to offer, we really hope you'll consider supporting the channel and signing up at AnfieldIndexPro.com. For about the price of 1 cup of coffee, you'll get every podcast in full with 0 ads. You'll also get access to our LFC VIP community, where you can enjoy live podcasts, engage with our podcasters, and chat with other Reds in real time. So that website again, AnfieldIndexPro.com. Join today.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.